A while ago, I was on a trip in Australia, and I accidentally ate kangaroo. Uh, Someone gave the piece of meat to me, and I was just like, oh, it's just a burger, right? But no, it was kangaroo, and afterwards, I just felt so guilty that I stopped eating meat. And I thank God that I ate that kangaroo because becoming a vegetarian was one of the best decisions of my life. I think everyone should stop eating meat, or at least reduce their intake. First of all, there's a lot of need for us to stop eating meat, because let's face it, we've got issues. Global climate change is hugely impacted by the livestock industry, which is mostly corporate. 99% is corporate, while only 1% is small family, is like the small family farms that we think of when we normally think of like ranches and cows and stuff. And the livestock industry produces 18% of greenhouse gases, 9% of CO2, and 37% of methane. And while you think this might not be a big deal, we've actually artificially increased the population of cows to a huge extent. And if you guys have heard of that you should eat more grass-fed beef, it's because most of the livestock industry is being fed corn, which is actually bad for their diets, and it causes them to produce more flatulence. And yeah, like cow farts are bad for the environment. The livestock industry also takes up 2/3 of agricultural land just for feed, and that's a huge amount considering that in the global economy, a lot of people can't afford food. They also use a huge amount of fresh water. When you compare meat to vegetables by the use of fresh water, it uses 47 times more than vegetables by pound, 10 times more than vegetables by calories, and 5 times more than vegetables by protein. And that's just not on average, not including vegetables that are extremely high in protein like soy. That was a study from McKenna and Hoekstra. The Stanford Woods Institute for the Environment published an article that describes other ways that the livestock industry impacts global climate change. They destroy forests and grasslands, they cause soil erosion, and they can even create dead zones in coastal areas and coral reefs through contamination of waterways, which end up in the ocean. But maybe you don't care that much about the environment. Maybe you're a little more involved in yourself. But that's okay too, because becoming a vegetarian is actually insanely good for your health. While meat contains some nutritional value, like a high content of protein, B12 vitamins, and iron, they're extremely high in salt and fat and very calorie dense, and there's just better ways of getting those nutrients. The Journal of Internal Medicine published a study that, an inclusive study that was on chronic diseases and how they relate to meat consumption. And meat consumption on a regular basis increases the rate of diabetes, heart disease, heart failure, stroke, and cancer by an average of 22%. Meat products also introduce pathogenic bacteria into our systems. The Learn by Eating manual given to us by Cal Poly even describes kitchen safety guidelines, and it's mostly about the safe ways to prepare meat, the minimal temperatures you have to cook them at, and how you shouldn't leave them out on the counter and stuff. And I don't know about you guys, but pathogenic bacteria kind of scares me, so if I were you guys, I would stay away from the meat. On top of that, there's some ethical issues concerning the meat industry. And while you might not agree that animals have feelings or that they matter, it's actually animals have legal rights. So you guys have heard of like animal abuse laws, but what you might not think of is that animal abuse laws apply to all animals in the United States, including livestock. So livestock animals, similarly to like your household pets and like dogs that get abused, they have the right against animal confinement, general cruelty and neglect. And while you might think that that the facilities that process animals have to be cruel to them in some ways because they are killing them, a lot of investigations into the livestock industry have found that there's many violations of animal rights. And just to put it in kind of like a perspective, the agricultural industry spends hundreds of thousands of dollars pushing ag-gag laws, which make it illegal for someone who is not the owner of a farm to take a picture or a video of what goes on in the farm and to show it to like someone outside. So there's a lot of places where we literally cannot find out what's going on inside, and they could be like abusing animals and can like literally committing felonies, but we just like don't know. And that's from the that information's from the California law and from the American Society for Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. On top of that, you might think of that it's basically just an ethical issue for animals, but most people who raise livestock are in poverty. Consider the people that raise chickens. A lot of them are being kept in like contracts by large chicken companies, and they're actually decreasing more and more below the poverty line every year. So what's the solution? Just stop eating meat. It's actually really easy. Just pick up a Learn by Eating guide. 20 of the 25 recipes in here are actually vegetarian, and they include like a lot of tips like varying your protein routine or eating a large amount of fruits and vegetables. You can also look at the Cal Poly Campus Dining Nutrition Calculator, and if you select the little tab on the side that says vegetarian, you'll find that 543 of the 817 dining options on campus are vegetarian. But why should we do this? What'll happen if we stop eating meat? We'll make a better world. We'll reduce greenhouse gas emissions, free up land that can revert back to its natural state and act as a carbon sink, as proven by the IOP conference series on Earth and Environmental Science, and reduce healthcare costs by increasing well-being, limit animal cruelty, and begin to end an industry that works against human dignity. So what should you guys do? Well, I'd recommend that after this class, when you go out and you get lunch today, maybe you go down to the food trucks. Instead of getting chicken shawarma or gyro, opt for a falafel. Because when you think about it, what's more important? Your health or a hamburger? The climate or chicken strips? Your sense of morality or a salami sandwich? To me, the choice is clear, but even if it's hard for you, I think you should at least try to reduce your intake of meat.